I want to give it up for a good friend of mine. He is one of the contributors to Hard Lens Media. He is also a contributor and host to our other YouTube channel, Chicago Corner. He's a great friend, someone who I respect. He's a fighter. And I ask everyone to bring the noise for my good friend Jerry Vasilatos, who again, Jerry, the floor is yours. Get angry, my friend, get angry.
Thank you, kid. Before I start, that's all right. You want to tell him?
All right, everyone. I need all of your help. I need your help.
So on 3, 2, 1, I want everybody to shout to the camera. Chicago stands for Medicare for all. Ready? It's going to go to social media. Everybody smile. Be excited. 3, 2, 1. Chicago stands for Medicare for all. Yes! Thank you, Kit, and thank you for the honor of speaking today. So I brought some prepared remarks. No, it's good. I'm Jerry Vasilatos, the host of the YouTube channel Chicago Corner. Most of you probably don't know me, but I've got a lot to say. And I hope you'll remember what I share here today to share with others, that it relates to what we're all here today advocating for. You might not know it to look at me, but I'm disabled due to a traumatic accident at the Harrison Street subway station, not far from here, when I was 20 years old commuting from classes at Columbia College. The bad news is I lost my leg, and that's what I use this cane for when I am walking with my prosthetic limb. The backhanded good news is, as a permanently disabled American suffering from other health issues that followed after my injury, I became eligible for Medicare. I was denied at first, and it took 7 years to fight for. They deny you, you've got to appeal it, but eventually I got the coverage. Although it shouldn't have been a fight, Medicare is one of the reasons I feel I can even be here standing before you to speak, because without Medicare, I'd probably be in a wheelchair, unable to walk, or be capable of being productive, because Medicare helped cover the cost of my prosthetic limb, a knee replacement I had to undergo from 35 years of wear and tear on my good leg, along with shoulder and wrist surgeries for the battering my joints have taken using crutches while bearing my body weight when I'm not walking on my prosthetic limb. There have been other health issues throughout the years as well: asthma, diverticulitis, another shoulder injury from an involuntary fall, issues that could very well bankrupted me or prevented me from being able to pay for procedures I may never have been able to receive had it not been for the fact I am covered by Medicare. I can tell you this also: none of my doctors or physicians who've treated me throughout my 35 years since my accident that disabled me have ever turned me away because I'm covered by Medicare. In fact, most that I speak with about the American healthcare crisis are in agreement that our system is broken, and Medicare for all, or a single-payer option, is a basic human right, is what will help fix this system, guaranteeing all Americans can get coverage they need, whether it be preventative care, hospitalizations for unexpected medical issues, physical traumas, developmental issues, or mental health. A nation that takes care of its citizens by taking care of their health with dignity is a nation that is investing in its future as it affects all Americans. To those who counter that a government-run Medicare for all system is, quote-unquote, everybody, socialism, or the system telling you from where or who you can get your care, I say you're full of it. Because if you're a senior or a veteran or disabled, we don't have in-network approvals. We aren't denied crucial care because of the fine print of a health insurance policy, and while our copay deductibles aren't perfect, they are affordable. If you have a relative or friend who's disabled or a veteran or a senior, ask them. I'm speaking here from my own experience, and when I see Medicare working for me, I know it can work for everyone. Of course, it could be better. Medicare doesn't cover dental care. I'm not sure how that works, since we all use our teeth to eat to sustain ourselves for health. It doesn't cover eye care. I don't know how that works either, given people who want to be productive need their vision to do so. It's been my understanding that Medicare won't cover people's hearing aids if they lose their hearing. These are health issues. Teeth, eyes, ears, all most closely connected to the brain that operates the rest of the bodies we're born into. Now, that system in place could definitely use some improvements, as Senator Sanders proposed before President Obama and the DNC torpedoed his campaign during the primaries in favor of Joe Biden to make sure no one would get Medicare for all, let alone a single payer option. Single payer, that compromise President Biden ran on this past election cycle, which along with so many other promises has been abandoned to serve the interests of wealthy donors and lobbyists of the health insurance and pharmaceutical cartels. And they are cartels, whose interests are only in bleeding Americans dry with obscene health care and prescription costs to cover equally obscene CEO salaries and other corporate profits that deny the basic human right every other industrialized nation in the world offers its citizens: health care for all. They saw how Sanders' platform appealed to 70% of Americans, so of course they had to stop it. They had to make sure working people's health insurance remained tied to their jobs, to keep them servile, to keep them in place at the stagnant crumb wages they earn, but they never expected COVID-19 to shut down our society and to demonstrate what a sham that system was, as people not only lost their jobs, but the health care tied to those jobs, which was the perfect storm demonstrating why we need Medicare for all and why it can no longer be tied to employment. You know, I like using movie metaphors when I can, and none are as appropriate as feeling as if we're all suddenly in the Matrix, faced with taking the red pill or the blue pill. America's still choking on that bitter red pill, learning this unsettling, life-changing truth where it relates to how our healthcare needs have never been a priority to the oligarch class, who've been hostile to the working class for the past 70 years since FDR passed sweeping reforms. They've also managed to dismantle with every neoconservative and neoliberal policy they've forced on all of us. But how are we going to pay for it? How are we going to pay for it? When you have a country that claims it's the best country in the world, and we know it's also the richest country in the world, a country that doesn't think twice about shoveling boatloads of money into dropping bombs on other nations to kill black and brown people, or to fund bloated defense budget for planes and drones or other weapons of war, I ask, how are we paying for these obscenities? And they are obscenities. Taking lives instead of saving them. Investing in a healthcare system that would cover all Americans affordably, that 22 studies have outlined would actually save money because it reduces administrative costs. Even the right-wing think tank, Mercatus Center, found $2 trillion in net savings over 10 years from a single-payer Medicare for all system. And that's with the caveat everyone in the country would have high-quality healthcare coverage. The data is there for anyone to Google. That our elected representatives continue this charade, running on promises of healthcare reform, kicking the can down the road when they get in, refusing to even force a vote for us to see which of them are with us or against us. It's clear that our interests, our health, our well-being are not their priorities. And it boggles my mind that we aren't their priorities. So, what's the solution? Why are we here? What can any of us do in light of this monstrous system that feeds the health insurance company beast in the middle of a global pandemic at all our peril? We have midterms coming up in 2022. We can vote out the incumbents, the phony progressives, the squad, most of whom have actually deferred from participating in these marches nationwide in favor of new candidates. And if those candidates betray us like the ones before, we can toss their asses out the door when they are up for re-election as well. As the recent Cook County strike demonstrated, strikes get results. Do we all know what a general strike is? Do we have the fortitude to sacrifice, to organize nationwide, to demonstrate we've all had enough on behalf of our essential workers, all workers whose health care is tied to their jobs, as well as the most vulnerable among us that desperately need universal health care to protect them and their families and their children? Medicare works for seniors, veterans, and the disabled. It can work for everyone. If our elected officials stop taking money from the insurance companies and the pharmaceutical companies and do the work they're supposed to do that every other civilized nation in the world does to take care of their citizens. We've been patient, we've been civil, we've organized, and yet we are still ignored. They continue to tell us change will come incrementally. They've been telling us that since our former Mayor Rahm Emanuel, serving as Chief of Staff, talked President Obama out of including a single-payer option during healthcare reform policy he helped craft in 2009 when the Democrats had the majority of the Congress. President Biden agreed with Emanuel then and still defiantly declares if Medicare for All is proposed by our Congress, he will veto it. In the middle of a pandemic, he will still not relent. A society is judged by how it treats its most vulnerable, and there's a psychiatric term for people that lack the empathy or conscience to feel or understand the pain and suffering of the people they serve. They're sociopaths. And we should start calling them for what they are, so there's no mistake the damage and misery they continue to enable in this morally bankrupt system. Today's marches across the nation should send a signal to Congress, to all our elected officials, to President Biden and Vice President Harris, no more. We will no longer be ignored, and we will not rest until every American is covered by Medicare for all. And if they don't take action this year, then we'll be here next year, and the year after that. And I say to everybody in the audience, when we continue, it will be your solemn duty to invite 10 more people to join this movement, because the louder we get, they will not be able to ignore us anymore. I salute everyone who took the time and made the effort to be present today in the middle of this global pandemic to tell our elected officials we've had enough, and if they will not do the work we sent them to Washington to do, then they should prepare to find other work. And I encourage all of you to seek out and support the candidates who will lead and represent us, combating the national health care crisis we all face. Thank you for this honor to speak.